stop there.
Good evening, I'm Tom Tucker. Our top story tonight, just when you thought the world couldn't be any more dangerous, Channel 5 News has discovered that there is an atheist among us.
Shocking, to say the least. I'd rather have a terrorist living in our midst. At least they believe in a god, even if it's a smelly brown god.
I hear people talking about the atheist experience on this local channel.
You are a Marxist, you're an atheist, and you're from Russia.
You're done. It's evolution isn't just a theory. Evolution is a fact. Change over time is a fact. The theory of evolution by natural selection is the model that describes the process. That is constantly refined.
So you were studying to be a minister?
Yes.
And then there, you don't believe in God?
That's correct.
Well, you the devil, man.
I've heard you guys go on and on about this, and when it comes to talking about the Bible, you guys are just practically illiterate. You know what I'd really like to do is someday I'm going to come down there and punch your fat face in for Jesus. That's what I'm going to do.
Really? Do you think that's what Jesus wants you to do? Because
yeah, definitely. He's going to come back and he's just going to...
Does he want me to turn the other cheek when you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's going to be real happy.
And at least we figured out who was illiterate. I'm going to come punch your face for Jesus. I mean, there's absolutely nothing you could really say in response to that. And honestly, probably the best thing I can do is point out that I don't for a moment think that he represents the majority of Christians out there watching the show, or the majority of God believers out there watching the show, because I have conversations with those people. I have family members who are those people. I have close friends who are those people. We get along just fine. I got an email the other day from somebody who said, I downloaded and watched one of your programs, and of course he went off about how you guys aren't really open-minded, you're just another cult who are viewing life with your reality tunnel of scientific materialism. And my response was I'd rather have a reality tunnel filter on my eyes than the fantasy tunnel. And if you're going to be upset that we ridiculed ridiculous ideas, that we were too mean to people who were perhaps mentally unstable, I'm sorry. Nothing else I could say. Because as somebody who was raised with particular beliefs, who wanted to be a minister, who studied to do this, I've changed my beliefs. And I have good reasons, I think, for changing them. I'm still, however, open-minded. The only thing that anybody needs to do in order to convince me to change my mind on something is to present good, reasoned argument and evidence. That's it.
But you admit that that's kind of subjective and certainly at least arguable.
Sure. But the only thing that's going to change my mind is evidence and reasoned argument, not of my grandpa had cancer and we prayed and he got better.
So you're claiming there's a lack of evidence and therefore there's no reason to believe it.
Yep.
Well, I got it. How about this? How about I just come down there and punch your fat head in for Jesus?
Honestly, having that discussion with you, it wasn't for your benefit. I don't have any illusions about whose mind I'm going to change and who I'm not going to change. I'm not going to sit around and argue with my parents, for example. The reason we do the show is because there may be somebody else listening who maybe one little thing I say helps them change their mind or solidify a position. If somebody listens to a discussion like that, participates, and actually thinks, if they walk away and their faith is strengthened, Okay, I won't be particularly thrilled, but I'll be happy that they actually consider the argument when we're interested in a discussion.
All right, new questions here from the internets. What do you think about the atheist group? You're an atheist, right, Alan?
Yes.
Getting the first ever non-believer policy meeting today with the White House. I didn't hear about that.
I don't like it when atheists become a religion. My whole plan was to get the fuck away from people and do my own thing on Sunday. The point about being an atheist is not giving a shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but if there ever is going to be any representation for us, then you do have to kind of meet. But, you know, I mean, 3 out of 20 people in this country is either atheist or agnostic, and there's nobody in Congress who is. So...
No one who admits it, yeah.
Okay, but it never comes up. That point of view is never represented. And if 15% of the country, any other minority, is represented big time. That's a bigger minority than blacks, Jews, Hispanics, NRA members. They all get a big voice. We have no voice because we don't organize and do things like this. So there are two sides to that.
But look, it's obviously political suicide to admit you don't know or you don't care or you don't believe. So they all have to perpetuate this lie. But you see by their actions, they don't believe it because they're getting blown every 10 seconds. Not by their wives. I'm just saying... Look,
Definitely
you know these people aren't religious by their actions. I mean, when you say you're religious, but then you do things that are counter to your religion, you're not religious. You don't believe it. They don't believe it. I don't believe 80% of religious people actually believe it. If we got them really high
Muslims do.
And asked them...
I've always made that point, that we are more advanced because we only pay lip service to religion.
Right.
The people you have to really worry about are the people who actually believe it.
Yeah.
There was something in the paper today about some beauty contest winner who said we should follow what the Bible says and put gays to death. That is what the Bible says. You know, I mean, if you follow what's actually in the religious books, it's way scarier than what we really live by.
Some people have a sincere religious belief, and that religious belief can motivate them to do good things as well as do bad things.
But don't you want people to have a sort of inner moral compass? Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone goes, what's to stop me from killing you and then having sex with your corpse? Well, I'm not a horrible person. I have an inner compass, a moral compass that I live by that would not let me do these things.
We got Johnny. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
As a matter of fact, I have proof that God is real.
Okay. Okay, good.
My proof is, my mother was in the hospital, correct? And she was halfway dead or whatever, and they had it plugged up still. And the doctor calls us in the morning and tell us, oh, she's going to die next minute. Come up there. Okay, so we come up there. They pull a plug from her. She's not breathing. And all of a sudden, she's breathing. So what is that? Is that Mother Nature doctors or what, or is that God? What do you think that is?
So let me get your story straight. Your mother was on the brink of death, and then she was fine, right?
Yep.
And that's proof that God exists.
Yes.
Okay, what do you call it when a person is perfectly healthy and then drops dead? Is that proof that God does not exist?
No, that's just proof that whatever happened to that person happens.
Okay, so...
Congratulations. You get the Caller of the Day award for being honest and answering your own question.
All right, good point. Good point. Okay, good point. Now, why is God not real? Why is he?
Okay.
Do you believe in unicorns?
No.
Why?
Why?
Because unicorns are fairy tales, and it hasn't been proven that there is one.
You are the best caller! You are the best caller ever. You can answer your own questions every single time.
Look, keep it real, Manning.